Hello, friends. My name is Dina, and today I'm going to tell you my story. I had the same mother-in-law problem that many people here seem to have. I was surprised to see so many entitled mother-in-laws out there. It's pretty scary. My mother-in-law, Vivian, is also entitled and delusional. I realized this as soon as I married my husband, Carter. Vivian wasn't financially dependent on us, but she liked to act like she owned everything around her. If she touched something, she called it hers. This was because she was very greedy and liked to live a luxurious life, but she never had the money for it. Most of the time, Vivian and I avoided conflicts because I kept quiet. But once, a big incident happened that changed how I dealt with her. You see, I had recently inherited a vintage car from my grandfather after he passed away. That car was very important to me, and I was happy to have it. But to my mother-in-law, it was just something that needed to be sold so she could get some of the money. Carter and I had avoided telling Vivian about the car because we knew she would say something ridiculous like sell the car and give me the money. And sure enough, Vivian didn't disappoint. She was staying with us for a couple of days because her house was under emergency renovation. Her fault, but that's another story. So Vivian moved into our home and immediately started calling it hers. It was annoying, but I ignored her like I always did. The real problem started when she checked out our garage and found my vintage car. She quickly came back into the house and asked, "Why is there a vintage car in your garage?" I replied, "Oh, that's my car. I recently got it from my grandfather, who just passed away. It was my inheritance. That's an expensive car. I looked it up online, and it says it's worth around $100,000. That's a lot of money. You shouldn't keep it." "I am keeping it. It belonged to my late grandfather, and it means a lot to me. I won't sell it." "You're crazy. Listen, Dina, think about what I'm saying. You could sell the car and use the money for so many things. Keeping it to yourself is selfish. We, as your family, deserve to benefit from your inheritance too." Vivian's words were really strange. First of all, what I did with my own stuff wasn't her business. And secondly, I didn't have to share my things with her. What was she thinking? I didn't know how to respond, so I just walked away and hoped she wouldn't bring it up again. I was wrong. Vivian was really persistent and kept bringing it up. That night, while we were quietly having dinner, Vivian brought up selling my car again. She suddenly said, "So, have you thought about what I said? Have you decided to sell your car?" "For the last time, Vivian, I'm not selling my car. It's just not going to happen." "This is unacceptable, Dina. You can't have a car that expensive. You're not rich. Your Honda is good enough. You need to think about your family and sell the car so we can all enjoy the money. You can't tell me what to do with my car, Vivian. That's my decision. I don't mind keeping the car in my garage. It's sentimental and I've always wanted it. I'm not selling it to anyone. Carter, you need to tell your wife to sell the car. She can't just keep an expensive car when we could have the money." Vivian expected Carter to agree with her. I understand why. Carter usually had a hard time saying no to her or setting boundaries. But he had been improving. So imagine Vivian's surprise when Carter said, "Mom, it's her car, so she decides what to do with it." You heard her. It means a lot to her. If she doesn't want to sell it, we can't force her. "But Carter, it's a lot of money." "Even if it is, that money belongs to her. We can't decide what she does with it. Leave her alone, Mom. You're being too pushy. You shouldn't comment on things that are privately owned." Vivian looked disappointed by her son's words. She thought he would side with her, but he didn't. She didn't give up though. She kept making small comments about the car and how nice it would be to have $100,000. It was annoying, but I ignored it. I should have paid more attention because she managed to steal and sell my car without me noticing. One morning, when I was getting ready to leave for work, I noticed that my vintage car was gone. I was in the garage about to drive my Honda, but my car wasn't there. I got really worried and thought someone might have taken it. The garage was open, but it didn't look like it had been broken into. Carter's car wasn't there either because he had already left for work. So I knew he hadn't taken it. I called my job and took the day off to figure out what happened. That car meant a lot to me, and I couldn't relax until I found it. I called Carter in a panic to make sure he didn't know anything about the missing car. I said, "Carter, did you take my car by any chance? It's not in the garage." "What? No, I took my Mustang. I saw your car at the garage before I left." "I don't know, Carter. It's not there anymore." I realized it was missing when I went to take my Honda to work. I'm really worried. Carter, I'm freaking out. We need to figure out where the car is. Can you check our security cameras to see who took it? And if you find anything, we should call the police. I wish I could help more, but I have an important meeting soon. Still, you can call me if you need me. Carter helped calm me down and gave me instructions on what to do next. He was right. I needed to check the security cameras first. I opened the app on my phone and watched the videos from that morning. What I saw was really disturbing. It was my own mother-in-law who had taken the car. Even though I had told her countless times not to touch it, she ignored me. I was furious. I called her and recorded the conversation. I said, "Vivian, where are you? Why did you take my car?" "Oh, calm down. I just took it for a short drive." "No, you need to come back right now. I want my car back. I never gave you permission to use it. It was in your garage, Dina. Since you won't sell it, I figured I might as well use it. Stop calling me. I'll come back when I come back." I was furious with Vivian. I was so angry, I almost called the cops on her. But I decided to give her a chance. She was my mother-in-law after all. If she returned my car undamaged, I would make sure she faced consequences and make sure this never happened again. I didn't want to involve the cops if I didn't have to. But as time passed and Vivian didn't return, I started to reconsider. Little did I know, things were about to get much worse. An hour later, I heard Vivian come in. I was surprised she hadn't brought my car back. I knew something was wrong. What was even more concerning was that she had several shopping bags with her, all from luxury brands she couldn't afford. I rushed up to her and demanded to know what was going on. I stopped her and said angrily, "What's going on, Vivian? Where's my car?" "It's in your driveway." "I'm talking about my vintage car, Vivian. Where is it?" "What did you do?" "Oh, you mean your vintage car? Well, I guess you can say goodbye to your $100,000 car." "Oops, too late. It's already gone." "What do you mean, too late? You need to explain, Vivian. I'm losing my patience. I did what you should have done a long time ago. I sold your car," Vivian said casually. She didn't seem sorry at all. In fact, she looked pleased with herself. My anxiety turned into pure rage. I couldn't believe what Vivian was saying. She just admitted to selling my vintage car. I tried not to yell, but I was on the verge of exploding. "You sold my car. Are you serious?" "Yes, I'm serious, Dina. I sold your car today. It brought in good money. That's how I paid for all this stuff." "Let me make sure I understand. You took my car without permission, sold it, and used the money." "Yes, that's exactly what I did." "Why are you so surprised? I told you to sell the car. Having such an expensive car in the garage is a waste." "Are you crazy, Vivian? Who gave you the right to steal my property and sell it for yourself?" "Whoa, calm down, Dina. I plan to use the money for family stuff too. I just booked plane tickets to Alaska. We'll have a nice time at a ski resort I've always wanted to visit. So I'm not the only one benefiting. If you behave, I might give you some of the money so you can buy something for yourself too." Vivian was really getting on my nerves. I was so close to losing my temper. A part of me couldn't believe what she was saying. It was hard to understand how someone could be so entitled to sell something that wasn't theirs. But with my mother-in-law, anything was possible. Despite it all, I decided to give her one more chance. I said firmly, "Listen, Vivian, you need to take your car, go to where you sold mine, and bring it back to me right now. I'm only saying this once. Take it as your last chance to fix this mess." "Are you threatening me, Dana?" "Well, that's not going to work. The car's sold, and I've already spent some of the money. Plus, I didn't sell it just so you could demand it back. So you're not going to bring back my car? I gave you a chance to fix your mistake, and you're not taking it. Is that right?" "God, you're slow, Dina. There's no way I'm bringing your car back. Like I said, it's long gone now. You can drive your Honda for all I care." "All right then, don't say I didn't give you a chance." Vivian didn't even bother to listen to the last part. She just took her shopping bags and went to her room. I was reeling from the audacity of this woman, but I knew yelling wouldn't help. I needed to act fast if I wanted my car back. So I did what anyone would do. I called the cops and explained what happened. They were at my house in 15 minutes. By then, I had gathered the papers proving the car was mine. I welcomed the cops in, showed them all the evidence, including the security footage of Vivian driving off with my car and not returning it. They decided to talk to Vivian. She came downstairs looking annoyed but froze when she saw the cops. Then she sweetly said, "Good afternoon, officers. What brings you to my home? Is my daughter-in-law in trouble?" "Ma'am, your daughter-in-law is pressing charges against you for stealing and selling her car illegally." "Oh, officers, there must be some mistake. As you can see, her car is right here in the garage. She's just being spiteful by calling you here." "Ma'am, we're not talking about the Honda. We're referring to the vintage car you sold today." "There's no vintage car in my house, officers. This must be a misunderstanding. We're not wealthy enough to have a vintage car." "Ma'am, we have paperwork and video evidence of everything. Plus, there's insurance involved. There's no point in lying to us." When the officers saw through Vivian's lies, she tried a different approach. It was almost amusing to watch her come up with these crazy stories to cover her tracks. She looked a bit embarrassed as she said, "Oh, that one, officers. I might have been confused. Yes, she used to own a car like that, but she asked me to sell it. So that's what I did today." "Why are you lying to the officers, Vivian? I never gave you permission to drive, let alone sell, the car." "Dina, what's wrong with you? You can't just change your story like that. Are you trying to frame me? That's so unfair. Officers, you have to understand, Dina's trying to set me up. I swear she gave me permission to sell it. I pulled out my phone and played the recording of me telling Vivian to come home and leave my car alone. It clearly showed I didn't give her permission to use or sell the car and that I wanted it back." The officers listened and looked very annoyed. They gave Vivian a stern look and said, "Are you going to keep lying, or is that it?" Vivian stuttered, "Well, I can explain. Just hear me out." "You don't need to explain here, ma'am. You can do that at the police station. You're under arrest for stealing your daughter-in-law's car." Now Vivian looked genuinely scared. She was visibly nervous, with tears welling up in her eyes. Despite being cuffed, she continued to try and come up with more lies. But the officers didn't entertain her. Instead, they arrested her. She should have stopped, but her anxiety got the better of her. She turned to me. Her demeanor completely changed within minutes. She went from being confident to a frightened person begging for help. She pleaded, "Dina, you can't let this happen. You can't have your own mother-in-law arrested. Think about what people will say." "I don't care what people will say, Vivian. You committed a crime and need to face the consequences. I'll do anything to get my car back. It's just a car, Dina. There's no need to get me arrested over it. Let's talk and sort this out. Trust me, you don't want to have your mother-in-law arrested. We're family. You didn't care about my family when you sold my car. You sold a piece of my family's history. You don't get to play the family card now." Vivian was already in tears, begging me to let it go. She was delusional, thinking I would just forgive her horrendous behavior. She pleaded with me until she was taken to the cop car. Before getting in, she shouted at me, "This isn't over, Dina. I'll get my son involved. He'll put you back in your place." "Good luck with that, Vivian. I'm sure your son will do what's right. Focus on getting out of jail. I've said goodbye to my car, but you'll be saying hello to a lawsuit." "You'll get nothing. My son will protect me. He'll come to rescue me and kick you out of the house." Well, her son did go to the police station, but not to rescue her. When Carter called me and asked what was happening, I told him to meet me there. I needed to file a case in person, and it would be better for both of us to meet at the station. Plus, I wanted to see Vivian's face when Carter saw the situation. We met and went straight to Vivian. When she saw him, she started to cry. "Carter, look what your wife has done. She hates me so much she put me in jail. I can't be here, Carter. You need to do something." "Dina, what's going on? Why did you put Mom in jail?" "Hey Vivian, care to explain to your son what you did with my car?" Vivian suddenly went quiet. She was probably trying to think of an excuse to make herself look better. But she couldn't come up with anything. She stayed quiet with her head down. "Mom, say something. Why are you so quiet?" "What can she say, Carter? She stole and sold my car, then came home with shopping bags and told me she booked us a vacation in Alaska." "Wait, what? Mom, what did you do?" "Oh, there's more, Carter. The cops got a name out of her. They contacted the man, and he said the car was damaged a bit after he got it. So this is going to be a big lawsuit. I can already see it costing $1 million. Oh my God, Mom, what have you done? I told you to stay away from Dina's car. Why can't you just listen for once?" Carter had never spoken to his mother in such a tone before. Vivian was surprised and didn't like it at all. She was crying now, trying to make him feel guilty, But I knew Carter wouldn't save her this time. He knew where to draw the line. Vivian still tried, saying, "Son, you need to get me out of here. I can't stay in this place. You have to convince Dina to drop the case. I can't afford a lawsuit. You know that." "Why would I do that, Mom? You're the one who committed a crime by doing something so incredibly stupid. Carter, if you don't help me, my life will be ruined. I'll be broke and still have to serve time in jail. You should have thought about that before breaking the law. I'm going to support Dina in what she's doing. This time, you've gone too far. I can't forgive this. Mom, you're on your own." Vivian kept begging us to change our minds and forgive her, even resorting to begging me for forgiveness again. But I wasn't going to listen. Carter was furious and decided to leave the police station with me. He was really sorry for his mom's actions and said he'd never forgive her for this. He even encouraged me to pursue my case and get my car back. I did eventually get my car back, but it took a while. The buyer had been in a small accident with it, and it got badly dented. Repairing vintage cars can be expensive, and with lawyer fees added in, Vivian ended up paying $1 million for the lawsuit. She was forced to sell her childhood home and take on debts. It was tough for her, but we didn't sympathize. Carter made it clear we didn't want her around anymore. He also said we wouldn't be contacting her for a long time. That made her cry and throw a tantrum again. News of her arrest and lawsuit spread fast. Her friends dropped her, not wanting to associate with a criminal. Even her family was furious, who sells stolen stuff. I was glad to see the rest of the family had some sense. Anyway, we're still not in contact with Vivian and the lawsuit is settled. I got my car back and had a skilled mechanic work on it, all paid for by Vivian, of course. The mechanic did such a good job you wouldn't even know it was damaged. So I got my car back good as new, while Vivian lost her house and is now living alone in a rented apartment, desperate for company.